Hi, my name is ZHOU and this is my presentation for DMGT 702 class, a case study on the innovation of fair trade mark. In this presentation, I combine Roger's concepts in the book Diffusion of Innovation, try to analyze how fair trade developed and diffused. And in a way, I haven't been exposed to fair trade marks a lot because I lived in China mainly, and on the other hand, I haven't noticed the mark yet. I see a lot of food labels in the different products, and I thought they are overload in unnecessary information before. But after I had this class about innovation and diffusion, also give a search to the fair trade mark, I know they are meaningful and mean a lot, the fair trade mark. So I made a mind map for me to direct myself to explore what information I want to know and in order to learn better about fair trade. To conclude, I think fair trade is a successful innovation as both an ethical idea to allow people rethinking the existing supply chain as a product, a certification system to implement. The context and the trigger brought out fair trade is complex but interesting. In the 1960s, the fair trade movement took place in Europe. At the time, fair trade was often seen as a political response against the neo-imperialism. The radical students target multinational corporations. After 1960s, the new class, middle class, as the main body pay more attention to environmental protection, feminist movement, and other NGO movement. And because they want to change the existed market and the living world. In the 1980s, the fair trade precedents, third world store, developing country stores, workshops, they are like the thing before the fair trade today. They are kind of more communicate the idea, but they are not do the real thing like fair trade system today. Why I think today's fair trade system is more effective, I want to apply the 5 innovation attributes to prove fair trade is a more successful innovation than the past physical workshop. Ruggers give the 5 attributes help us to define innovation, and he said individuals believe that innovations with greater comparative advantages, competitive testability, and better observability and less complexity will be adopted more quickly than other innovations. Fair trade system has better comparative advantage than the workshop, than the physical stores. That is, in one way, today's transportation industry and technology network is highly developed that help today's fair trade system to connect more participants to the fair trade supply chain. Also, fair trade has higher compatibility. Past fair trade movement have the value trade not add, and fair trade system today also holds this value. It sets standards for producers and product in order to protect labor rights and the rights of smaller producers. They are not just giving the money. For the attribute complexity, I think fair trade also has decreased the complexity because of today's technology. Today's technology, the network, how people access more information, so people can learn about the fair trade system, also the information in order to access. For the attributes triability, I think that's hard to say because there is a fee you need to give to the system before you start to being satisfied if you are qualified producers or other participants in the fair trade supply chain. Finally, for the observability, fair trade mark has high visibility, so it has high observability. Because the fair trade mark is well recognized and it being regarded as a moral practice for socially responsible consumers to buy goods, and also a self-expression, a certification system that is executed by two units, Flow International and Flow Cert, since 2004. Flow International is for setting up standards for the participants want to join fair trade supply chain. Flow Cert is the authorized unit. On the other hand, fair trade also means the fair trade movement, the concept to promote economic justice came from fair trade movement. Fair trade system designed the fair trade marks. The initial mark designed in 2002, and it's for raise and increase the observability of the concept fair trade, and then it becomes variable marks in order to light more products in order to access the fair trade system. You could tell from the chart the number of fair trade certificate producer organizations is increasing in developing countries, although it's very slowly. This is the innovation development process of the case study fair trade. So first, recognizing the problem. After 1960s, people in the West started to pay more attention to environmental protection feminist movement. And so the one thing is also fair trade movement. People want to change the current situation. The profits unevenly distribute through the supply chain in the coffee industry and also in other industry. Then the information technology, the transportation system become developed. It helped the fair trade movement to communicate and diffuse more quickly and broadly. Then, in order to add transparency to the organization, in 2017, the Flow Cert, one unit of the fair trade system, designed the fair trade system, help the participants in the supply chain to trace their deal. For the commercializing part, I would say the fair trade system increased the types of certified goods in order to let more people able to engage in the fair trade supply chain. And finally, there are intended consequence and unintended consequence. For the intended one, there are now 20 labeling initiatives, and there are dozens of products like coffee, tea, rice, banana, and even football able to have the fair trade marks. For the unintended consequence, in 2004, fair trade certificate goods in London began to decline, and to now. Also, in 2015, a study showed that certificate products returns are close to zero because of an oversupply of certification, and only a small percentage of products classified as fair trade are actually sold on the fair trade market, enough to recoup the cost of certification. Thank you.